Hey, Fightin' Phils fans. Emily Messina here with player Josh Ockamy and Director of Community Relations Mike Robinson as we take this time to remember how big of an impact Jackie Robinson had on the game of baseball and on the players individually. Jackie Robinson Day just celebrated on April 15th. A lot of players wearing the number 42 out. Unfortunately, we were not home then, so we're taking the opportunity to look back on how monumental his career was. So, 1947, Jackie Robinson made his debut with the Brooklyn Dodgers. Mike, I know you have a Brooklyn Dodgers shirt. What does that mean to you as a Dodgers fan?
It means a lot. My dad is a Brooklyn Dodger fan, born in Brooklyn, so that's how I became a Brooklyn Dodger fan and a Los Angeles Dodger fan. Sorry, Josh. With saying that, I think Jackie Robinson, he broke the color barrier in baseball in 1947. He had a lot of difficulties with racism and other things that went on during that time, and it didn't defeat him.
Now, maybe a little bit before your time, but Josh, do you feel like maybe your grandfather or your father maybe was impacted by his, breaking that color barrier and you're now becoming a professional baseball player?
Absolutely. Really, you think of it at that time, baseball was, really, really big, and him being the first, black person to be in the MLB, you look at the impact it had on all the just little boys and or younger kids around in the USA, and you looked up and they said I can be that. So just the impact he had and all the difficulties he went through to make it possible for me and my dad and my grandfather to play baseball growing up. It was it was definitely very, very important, and I'm very grateful.
I would think something that is so tremendous, other than being the first to do it, is just the fact that there is somebody now that you can look up to that looks like you. I know that's something that I personally go through, and having that form of representation can make such a big deal. Are there certain players that you look up into the major leagues that have been able to carry that impact?
Yes. One guy I think of, me being a Phillies fan growing up was Ryan Howard. I watched this game. The games were on, TV a lot, and I looked at how he went about things and how he went about his at bats, and I really studied his game, and I'm really appreciative to have grown up and watched him.
Yeah, and I would say Ryan Howard, definitely someone who was great with the fans, someone who carried himself really well on the field, went about things the right way. And I would say that's something that Jackie Robinson did, in addition to being able to take all of the hate, all of the negative energy that he had. He was very nonviolent. He never reacted, or rarely reacted, with tempers flared. And I think that tells so much more to the story, too, is that he was able to stay composed while all those things were happening to him.
Yeah, without a doubt. He faced so much adversity, and he just kept doing what he had to do. And he set the standard for Martin Luther King Jr. also. So I read a story where they wanted him to move to the back of the bus. To the back of the bus, and he didn't. And he got arrested for it. But he stood up for his rights, and he believed in equity and diversity.
I definitely think, with all the hate that he faced and how difficult it was to withstand that pain, I can't imagine being in that position and having to handle that. Do you think that if you were in that position, you would have been able to go through what he did and come out the other side?
It definitely would have been extremely tough. I can't imagine, me going through all that. It was every day for his entire career. And like you said, for him not to even react or do anything like that, it's pretty much unbelievable. The fact that, like you said, he set the standard, and he was saying hey, I'm not going to let this get to me. I'm still, the person I am, and I'm going to, let my game do the talking.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. It actually is to the point where it's unbelievable that he was able to do what he did, and go through all of that and really make the world of a difference. And I think the three of us really appreciate what he went through. Do you think that other people recognize what he actually went through and did?
I don't think so. I think the movie 42, when that came out, it gave people a more realistic view of it, at least for me also. And but I don't think no one really knows what he went through. And for him to do what he did on the field and erase all that hatred is remarkable.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. The visual representation can sometimes be helpful to sort of have that empathy about what someone was going through, and especially, taking all of that hate and then still being an incredible player too is absolutely amazing. You know, he created such a positive impact, but there's definitely more work still to be done. What do you think that people could be doing, players, teammates in the locker room, at the games, to create like a more inclusive environment?
Um, I'm not saying us in general. I think our team.
Or a universal you?
Yeah, but more like I always say, education is power. I think the more you learn about someone else and other people's cultures, that definitely helps a lot. It allows you to see things from their perspective and why they may feel a certain way about things. So that's my number one thing. Number two is just learning to not judge anyone before you even meet them. Even as, like I said, it's my first year with the Phillies, and I only knew a couple guys, but I didn't put anything past them. I didn't, it was just like, hey, like this is me to you. You're my teammate, and if you have any thoughts or anything, or you have any questions, just bring them up to me, and I'll be glad to tell you how I feel about this certain topic or anything else.
And Mike, how about from a front office side, a coworker standpoint?
Yeah, it's one of those things that they have to understand me, and I have to understand them, and it's an educational part, like Josh said. That's really important. So obviously, keep a clear communication between the front office workers and even the game staff, because you never know what people are going through. And it's really important for the one thing is to listen, right, before you speak, and get the most out of that. So most important thing that I've learned through my situation here in Reading, being the only black African-American front office worker for the longest, is to get to know me first and don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah, I would definitely say in Reading we have such a diverse community here within our fans. We want to make everybody feel included at the ballpark. This is a safe community. This is a place we can come, we can have fun, we can let loose. And I think, as you said, Mike, everybody has a story, whether we know it or not, and we have to be, kind to that, and we have to be understanding of that, and listen and learn and educate. So thank you all today for joining us here as we celebrate Jackie Robinson. I'm Emily Messina with Josh Ockamy and Mike Robinson. Thank you so much.